Easter is upon us, and it ends the long season of candy, as I think of it, in the United States. The season of candy, if you want to think of it this way, runs from the run-up to Halloween, when it's still almost warm outside, all the way through Easter. Every holiday between we associate with sweets and pastries and candies and essentially seed oils and sugars as seed vehicles for consumption of seed oils. It's inflammation season, and I don't think it's really a coincidence that that's also the height of cold and flu season. I can't imagine that consuming sugar and the kinds of quantities most Americans are doing these days helps fend off cold flu. But we don't really associate the spring and summer and early fall holidays with candy. Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, do those days come with a lot of candy really to mind? No, yes, there are sweets that are associated with the celebrations at some of those times, but we don't. Let me put it to you this way. The seasonal aisle at your grocery store doesn't become like, Willy Wonka's Playhouse when those times of year, like it does the other half of the year. And Easter being upon us is also one of the times of year that's important for a lot of people. Being a religious person myself, Easter is a pretty big deal for myself and my family. We'll be going to have Easter dinner here in a couple days, and it's going to be a quite lovely time. But it's always a hazard when you do keto or carnivore or just low carb or anything. If you're on the proper human diet spectrum, these kinds of holidays can be kind of a problem. And so I have to ask you, not just for Easter, but in general, how is it you avoid, alienating those around you at these holidays, and how do you, participate in them by, to avoid falling off the wagon? Because my suspicion is that a negative side effect of carb restriction, the more austere your carb restriction, the more sensitive to sugar you get. The more you're likely, if you cheat, to have just a really absurd overreaction to it, especially if you have any of the other things going on, like I talked about in my mental health video the other day. So how do you avoid kind of going, off the deep end on Easter? The traditional Easter dinner isn't exactly carnivore either. It tends to be simpler than a lot of other holiday meals. At Thanksgiving, there's just mountains of mostly carbs and lots of fat and all sorts of other things in the form of turkey and stuffing and potatoes and all the rest. But the traditional Easter dinner for a lot of people is a ham. And a good ham, is not actually carnivore because it's like coated in honey and all sorts of other sugary stuff. You eat that and you're consuming a bunch of sugars, and you're taking your health into your hands at that point. At least if you're the kind of person who's on a carnivore diet anyway for health control reasons. Obviously, there are other options you can have. I was at Sam's Club and saw marked down tons and tons of these standing rib roasts, beef rib roasts. These are your rib eye roasts. Go to Sam's Club, folks. If you want a deal, by the way, go to Sam's Club. They'll look in the meat section. You will find a lot of these things that mark down 25%. This is your time to stock up, and it might be the last time you can do so affordably for some time, given projections for meat prices. But how do you navigate the holiday? Do you just take the day off? That's not, I don't think, a good plan for anybody personally, but if that's what you do, that is your choice, and you are free to make it, obviously. And I'm not going to sit here and give you grief over it. But if you are strict to carnivore or keto, or even if you do a dirtier, looser version of carnivore or keto, how do you navigate a meal that is traditionally mashed potatoes and peas and dinner rolls, followed by lots of cake or something? How do you navigate that holiday? What is your strategy? I'm curious. Because you're going to have people, I honestly believe, who are very afraid of going to a holiday meal and having all these tempting dishes put in front of them. And it's easier said than done to simply say, don't eat it. There's a lot of social pressure. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of family pressure. It's often just considered rude to say, I can't eat that item. Now, my suggestion is if you do carnivore or keto because you're trying to control a pretty severe metabolic condition, and I'm thinking things like Hashimoto's or any of those kind of conditions, you can much more easily say, I can't because this will cause X, Y, and Z problems. You can just enumerate them. So sorry, I can't have that, but I will happily have some of that roast beef. That's easy. Or some of those deviled eggs or whatever it is. But if you're just trying to do it for weight loss like I am, that's my main thing is weight loss, longevity. It becomes harder because the conventional wisdom is, diet's not sustainable if you can't take a day off. And to be fair, there is some truth to that. I mean, there are people who fall off the wagon after years of doing carnivore or keto because they missed whatever food item that they used to love. And it just leads to a spiraling out of control, which is why I'm asking the question. If you are a person on one of these diets, doing carnivore or keto, and you're doing it mostly for weight loss, how do you stay on program without setting yourself up for failure? Because one cheat meal can turn into a cheat day. A cheat day can turn into a couple of cheat days back to back. A couple of cheat days can turn into a cheat week, and a cheat week can turn into a 2 or 3 weeks of cheating. And at that point, you're trying to figure out how to get back into ketosis, how you gained 30 pounds in what seems like an absurdly low amount of time. And you don't know what to do. There's a lot of cases of that out there. Pay any attention to carnivore or keto social media groups. You'll see that. No one can answer really this question for me. My plan is to just be good. I get this weird kind of enjoyment out of cooking for other people, so I have a ham right now brining in my refrigerator. And what it got me thinking, because it's way easier to do than I actually thought it would be, is, family members of mine who don't even agree with my diet, they're the ones I'm cooking this for. But it got me thinking, it wouldn't be that hard to make a kind of a dirty carnivore or relaxed carnivore ham. I'm sure I can find a recipe out there that doesn't involve molasses. That would, and Lakanto makes a monk fruit brown sugar now. And that's just, it's a brown sugar form of monk fruit. There are liquid monk fruit extracts. I've been wanting to make my own bacon anyway. In fact, I've got a video on bacon in the works, and I found a weird, different kind of form of bacon at Sam's Club, and it's made from the cheapest cut of pork imaginable. I can make that. So my general plan is to try to be good. Easier said than done, of course, but my family understands what I'm trying to do. But maybe you're not in that situation. Maybe you are in a situation where your family thinks your diet's kind of nuts, and it's a little weird that you haven't eaten anything with fiber in it in a couple of years. Man, you must not have gone to the bathroom in a couple of years. You okay? You get those kind of looks from people. Or, your grandma presents to you her traditional Easter pie or whatever. It's your favorite thing from childhood. And she's getting up there in age, so you don't know how much longer you're going to have with her. And so the pressure mounts. Do you hold fast? Or are you the kind of person who, for weight loss, are able, for whatever reason, to take the day off or the meal off, enjoy yourself, deal with a little bit of indigestion, and get back on track, otherwise without problems? My wife does keto, and she very nearly had gestational diabetes, not in the pregnancy that she just completed, where we just had a baby boy born just a few days ago. Not for that pregnancy, but for the birth of our daughter almost 2 years ago. She was diagnosed with essentially borderline gestational diabetes, and we controlled it with low carb, and then after that she went keto after our daughter was born. She got down to a lower weight than she was at our wedding. And with our, in the most recent pregnancy, she only put on 4 pounds total once you factor out the weight of the child and the normal amount of weight that a woman typically gains during a pregnancy from the extra blood and other things that happen physiologically. When you factor those things out, she gained a total of 4 pounds. I was impressed. And I bring her up, and I tell you this because she will take periodically a day or two off. She took what we call in Catholic circles the octave of Christmas, or the 12 days of Christmas off. She is taking the octave, the 8 days of Easter off, and then she's going to go back. And she's done this several times. I don't even worry about it anymore when I watch her do it. I'm actually rather impressed by her control. But I know that's not the case for everybody. Are you able to do something like that safely? Are you able to take a day or two off and then get back on program without it being much of an issue? how do you do that if you're the ones doing that? And again, I am not advocating you do that. In fact, if you were to ask me point blank, should I do that? I would tell you no. Because a cheat day may turn into two cheat days. And 2 cheat days may turn into a cheat week. And a cheat week may turn into a cheat month. At which point you've gained back a lot of the weight you lost. And for those of you dealing with just metabolic issues that just ruin your quality of life, cheat days are probably not on the menu anyway. They seem like an alien concept. All I know is if I have a cheat day, I gain back weight really fast. Amazingly fast. So I don't recommend them. But I'm curious if you can do them. Let me know in the comments how. And for those of you who have a good strategy going into Easter or Christmas or whatever the holiday is, social gatherings, let me know what it is. How you communicate without being a jerk to people. How you stay on this diet without, explaining, without having to, alienate your friends or family. Because to me, remember, we should not just be isolated by ourselves, eating our ground beef and our steaks. We should actually be connected to everybody else out there. The world's too divided as it is. We shouldn't be contributing to it. Not like that. Anyway, good luck if you're having Easter dinner to go to this weekend. Let me know your strategy for keeping to your plan, or if you're not going to keep to your plan. You'll get no judgment from me. Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. So does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for tuning in today.